dish, starter, soup, and a cocktail. It drives them fucking crazy. They say, what kind of anarchist is this that wants the bloody dessert first? The other thing you can do, which I love to do, but I've only done it a few times because it's expensive, is, you know the long list of starters in a menu on the first page, you know? When the waiter comes or the waitress comes and says, which starter would you like? You pause and go, They say, well, which would you like? You say, all of them. They go, excuse me? I did this in a Thai restaurant in Perth in Western Australia. All of them? They said, but there's 22 starters on here. I said, I know, all of them. Give me the lot. They said, you can't eat 22 starters. And I said to the waitress, I said, look, sweetie, I said, I didn't say I was going to eat them. I want to look at them. She says, but you'll have to pay for them. I said, look, I'm not arguing about that. Of course I'll have to pay for them. I said, just give me all the bloody starters. So she gets in a panic and runs off and speaks to the manager and says, look, I think my English isn't very good. There's a bloke over here that wants all the starters. All 22 of them, you know. Pad, sod, prick, dom, dick, you know, that stuff they have in Thai restaurants. All 22 of them. So the manager is very polite, goes up to me and says, excuse me, sir, Mr. Wapton. He said, she hasn't understood. You want all 22 starters? I said, yeah, it's a lot. He says, well, that's a lot of food. I said, I know, I explained to her, I just want to look at them. And if there's any dishes I like the look of, I'll eat some. So they bought all 22 starters. It's really cool. But now here's the best bit. Then they come along and say, what do you want for a main dish? Now there's 60 main dishes. 60. Lamb, this, beef. I mean, I don't eat meat, but, you know, all this shit, you know, done every which way. You can have it in a basket. You can have it in a little boat. You can have the king of fucking Siam paddle past if you want, you know? What do you want? I said all of them. Every single fucking one of them. The manager freaked out. Completely freaked out. And then he put his foot down and he said, you can't have all of them. The kitchen will go crazy, you know? I said, okay. I said, give me 20, 25, 30. What's our deal here? He said, you can have 20. Which ones do you want? I said, I don't know. I'm not from Thailand. You pick them. So they bought 20 main dishes. And then right at the end, when we really want to make it hurt, we got to the desserts. And he came up and said, do you want the dessert menu? I said, yep. He said, what would you like? I said, how many guesses do you want? All of them. That was a great night out. I can't remember how much it cost, but it was fun. Because it's this idea of like, why should you be limited when you go to a restaurant? You know? Why should you be limited when you go into a bar? Why should you be limited when you make love? Why should you be limited when you talk to God? Why should you be limited when you earn money? Why should you be limited on your quest in life? Why should you be limited on anything, providing you're not hurting people? You know? You are born free. Definitely. There's no question of it. I will give you my personal written guarantee. This whole of my teaching life could be bullshit. But there's one thing that's definite, is you're free. And you start to become free. And you look at the infinity inside of you and you just align to it. You are your own sovereign nation. I know people in America who've worked out a way of becoming sovereign people, meaning that they're not part of American tax law. There's a quirky thing in American law where if you're a citizen of the United States, you owe taxes to the Inland Revenue Service. But if you're an American, you don't. In other words, the tax law in America was written for the citizens of the United States. If you elect to be an American person, there is no tax law in America. So these characters figured out it's much cheaper to be American than a citizen of the United States. Because as a citizen of the United States, you pay taxes, and as an American, you don't. So they just decided to be Americans. Then they realized there was lots of other little loopholes, like they could issue driver's licenses. United Nations driver's licenses. They don't even need American driver's licenses. You can have a United Nations one. And you don't even have it into your own name. Do you want to be a count, countess, princess, king? You know, do you want to be Muhammad Ali, Michael Jackson? Who do you fancy? You can have a United Nations driver's license in any name you like. It's legal. I thought, fantastic. For weeks now, I've been thinking, what shall I call myself? You know, what will I have? And it says occupation. I'm going to put diplomat. That way, when you arrive at the customs, they'll see United Nations diplomat. They must think, woo, TikTok, let them through. You know? And that little dog that sniffs and pisses all over your suitcases has got to go fuck off somewhere else, you know? There's ways around everything. One way around is to move. Because if you keep moving, you're free. You know, like a shark will die if it doesn't stop moving. A shark in the sea. It has to move to take in oxygen to stay alive. And I thought about it. I thought, wow, my incarnation is a shark. Because if you keep moving, you're safe. But we tend to think that if we do move a lot, we become unsafe. But the most unsafe place to be is in the same place, isn't it? If you keep moving, you're safe. So that's why years and years and years and years and years ago, I thought, wow, I'll keep moving. And a lot of the time, I move all the time. Like, often I move every 3 days. Ding, ding, let's go. I think I've been in 9 cities in 6 days. Ding, ding, let's go. But that, in a way, is how our spirituality is. Our spirituality is moving. Our energy is moving. Our power is moving. It isn't a sedentary thing. A sitting down, slow, nauseating thing. We're climbing. And at first you have to fight your way out. You have to fight your way out of the morass of TikTok, and it's really hard to let go. It's really hard to leave. I remember thinking when I left Catholicism, my God, I'm going to burn in hell. And then I thought, well, fuck this, man. I'm going to burn of boredom if I don't leave. But if you look at this, your journey's like this. This is the infinite journey. You start here. TikTok, total nonsense, no freedom. The mother-in-law comes round, you got to eat the stupid cake. You hate the cake. You hate her, but you can't look her in the eye and say, listen, look, I really love you, but fuck off, I don't want the cake. Try it on Sunday next time she comes round. Fuck off, I don't want the cake. You know? Because we're scared to do that. You need somebody to train you to do that. You know? To train you to look the world in the eye and say, listen, please don't take it personally, but piss off. The other night I was in a club. I work at night a lot. I work at night a whole bunch because I go out with these little wizards that I train, and we go and save souls at night. And I was in this club and there was a fight. Well, there wasn't a fight till I got there, but I helped it along a bit. And this guy says, I'm calling the police. I said, all right, call them. He said, you can't leave until the police come. I said, I'm not leaving. Call them. So I'm out in the street with one of these kids, one of these street kids, who scared this bloke by whispering in his ear. It's an old Sicilian trick. When Sicilians whisper, get the fuck out of there quick, because it's dangerous, okay? Never mess with a Sicilian that's whispering. So I taught this whispering trick to this kid. So he whispered to his owners of this club, and the club owner got scared and he called the coppers, the police. So I'm standing out in the street and this policeman comes up to me and says, what's your name, you know? Who are you? And I didn't answer. So he goes, who are you? And then I said very quietly, I said, who are you? And he goes, oh, well, I'm Detective Constable Dix.
What?
I said, oh, yeah. And then he went down to the street kid and he tried to arrest the street kid. But the street kid wouldn't have any of it because he hadn't actually done anything very much, you know, other than threaten this guy quietly. So the street kid told this cop to fuck off. Piss off. Then the policeman came back to me and said, we're going to put you in the van and arrest you. I said, are you? I didn't flinch. I just looked him in the eye. I said, are you? Then I told him a terrible lie. Sorry, God. And here's what I told him. I whispered to him. I said, excuse me. Don't take this personally, I said. But there's 3 types of successful people in the world. There are people that are well off. There are people that are rich. And then there's a 3rd type. And that's the people that are stinking fucking rich. Right? I'm in category number 3, officer. You can arrest me. I'm not going to resist you. But tomorrow morning at the police station, there is going to be a bevy, an entire crowd of very expensive lawyers asking you what you mean by this. So now the policeman gets scared. And he says, well, these people in the club have got a right to throw you out. I said, I am out. I'm in the street. How much more out do you want me to be? You know? There's no more out than this. And in the end, the police ran away. This guy got scared. He got scared. Because I had the power, he didn't. He pretended to have the power, but he didn't. I had the power. You've got the power. One of the concepts in the infinite self is you are the power. And you're only the power when you believe you're the power. When you can look in the mirror and say, I'm the power. You're the power. You've got the power. It's really uncomfortable sometimes to even say it, isn't it? I've got the power. Try it. Everybody. I've got the power. Yeah, you got the power. You got it. You are the power. And you do not need anybody's permission. You've got the power. Now, some of you don't know exactly how to use the power. And some of you may not be 100% confident of being able to look a policeman in the eye and say, Chechnya, brother, Chechnya. You heard of Chechnya? You know? Or look a policeman in the eye and say, listen, I'm in category 3. Stinking fucking rich. What do you want to do about it? We're going to arrest you. You say, fine, no problem, arrest me. But shit, we're going to come on you like a ton of fucking bricks. Try it. You see, we don't think we got rights. We've got lots of rights. We don't think we have power. We've got loads of power. You have the power to be free. You have the power to live without being manipulated. You have the power to live without being abused. You have the power to live without being terrorized by your husbands, your fathers, your mothers, your wives, your boyfriend, the police state. You have the power to live and earn money and do what you want to do. You have the power to move. You have the power to love. You have the power to invent your own religion. I did. You know, I have a religion called the Church of the Latter-day Stewarts. And I'm Pope in my own church. And I've got one person in my church, me. And I have my own little ceremonies in my own church. And I can give a flying fuck what the other churches say. Not to be disrespectful, but to say, listen, if you want a church with 1,000 rules, it's not for me. I've got like 3 rules, you know? Love myself, love everybody that I meet, and don't pay any fucking taxes. And I've got 1 or 2 other rules, like I have this religious aversion, this religious thing about anything that's uphill. You know, like for example, I don't like Tibet, right? I like the Dalai Lama, but I don't like Tibet. Because Tibet's all uphill, you know? There's nothing in Tibet that isn't fucking uphill. There's no downhill in Tibet for some reason. So I don't like going uphill. So for example, I would have a religious aversion to walking up towards that door because it's uphill. I'd rather go that way. It's not uphill. So that's one of my little religious quirks, you know? It's not supposed to be uphill. It's not supposed to be a struggle. And once you realize the power's inside of you, you're free. Once you realize you are the law, you're free. So one of the concepts of the infinite self, I can't remember which one, probably number 10 or number 12, is, hey, my word is law. That doesn't mean that you can confront the system because they may tow you away. But whatever you say becomes true for you. So if you want to look your husband in the eye tonight and say goodbye, that's your law. And fuck it if he doesn't like it. You know? What the fuck? Did you come to keep him happy? Did you sign your name in blood somewhere saying, I'm going to keep this arsehole happy and wash his socks for the rest of this incarnation? Maybe you did and maybe you didn't. If you're in a situation that's painful, what are you doing it for? You know, like at work or something? It's a painful job, it's boring people, you feel restricted, you can't breathe, it's suffocating, there's a million rules. Fuck off out of there. Be brave. I did a corporate seminar once. You know, people always say to me, Stu, why don't you do corporate seminars and stuff like that? You know, teach corporations. Well, I tried it once in a place called Portland, Oregon, in the northwest of the United States. And this company called me up that does like timber and stuff, you know? And they said, can we send our employees to your seminar? I said, of course you can. And they said, can we get like a group rate? I said, of course you can have a group rate, mate. So they sent about 40 people from the lumber company. And I talked to them a bit about personal freedom and their life and the journey and the infinite self. And the seminar was on a Friday night. On Monday morning, 11 of them quit. Out of 40 odd. So it's 42, 11 quit on Monday. And that was the end of my corporate training career. I've never been back since, because I'm the kiss of death for the corporate world, because everybody suddenly realizes, wow, this is a completely arseholic life. What am I doing here? Why am I doing it? And of course we're doing it because of fear. We're doing it because if we don't tick-tock along, we think, my God, my world will collapse. We stay in marriages because we think that somehow we're going to be lonely, or something terrible is going to happen if we leave. But it's nonsense, isn't it? I mean, if you're heterosexual, you have 2.5 billion people to choose from, right? When it comes to romance. And if you're bisexual, there's 5 billion. 5 billion people to choose from. There must be somebody out there you like. What? How do you know, buddy? You may not have asked them all. And anyway, it's to do with romance and love. It's to do with romance and love. It's to do with the idea that, hey, there isn't any limit here. There's loads of them. There isn't any limit to how you can make money. There's no limit to your spiritual journey. There's no limit to how much knowledge you can acquire. And the only limit is you've got to understand you're free. Oh, wow, I'm suddenly free. Wow, that's really cool. Let's go. Ding, ding, bing, bing. Let's go. You come out of TikTok and you make this turn. And in my book, I call it the 1,000-day climb. And that's because it sort of takes you 1,000 days to get from TikTok to here, where you start to begin to develop your spirituality. And you take that spirituality, and usually you'll do what I did. You're really awkward with it, and you're strange. You know, you get on the green slime tofu diet, and you want everybody to do it with you, you know? It's like, you know, in America, there's people that have those head thingies on their head, you know? I don't know if they're Sufis or Sikhs or what they are, but they get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they eat a piece of cake because somebody in the 12th century thought that was a good idea, you know? And they're vegetarians, and they've got all sorts of rules. And there's a lot of them in Santa Fe, near where I used to live. And they're always very pale looking, and they wear white clothes, completely white all the way, you know? Like they're wrapped in bandages. And they've got this thing that looks like a kid's nappy, you know? Americans call them diapers, that's on their head. And they're very pale, these people. They're super pale. And they always work in health food shops. Have you noticed that? They do, they work in health food shops. So they're really, really pale. And you're at the checkout counter, and this sort of white ghost apparition with this nappy on their head gives you some green slime and says, this is what I take for energy. And you look at them and you look at a slime and you think, shit, you know, I'm out of here, man, you know. You run across the street into the pub and say, listen, give me a treble fucking Gemmel down, some vodka, anything you got, man. If that's what these bastards say for energy, I'm out of here, man. It's too scary. Well, that's what happens up here, you see. You start to believe in this shit. So you believe in the, you know, in sort of Rami, Swami, the Barmy, and, you know, you don't notice that he's some dusty little fucking Indian up the Hindu Kush who's going, everything is love. Well, I mean, it's like, yeah, man, but I mean, what else, you know? Give me the power, give me the knowledge. Oh, no, you don't need any of that. Everything is love. Sit here for another 50,000 years. So give me a break, man. Like you see, at the beginning, you can't work that stuff out. No. You can't work it out because you haven't got the power to say, listen, this is fucking bullshit. You know, so this is a living God. And you think, ooh, wow, sit here. You know, and the incense is there, and they're bonging on the drums, and people are giving it all that good sort of meditation stuff, and they're omming their oms. And it's very hard, isn't it? It's almost impossible to look at him and think, who the fuck is this guy? You know? They say, oh, no, this is a living God. You say, he looks like a bicycle repairman from Karachi to me. They say, oh, no, excuse me, that's very sacrilegious. You say, no, I've met bicycle repairmen from Karachi. They look exactly like this man. But your brain can't sort of It can't hack the contradiction, you know? I mean, your brain knows he's a bicycle repairman from Karachi, but it can't accept it. Because it sort of tells you lies, you know? You buy the idea of the fact this is a living God. Well, if he's a living God, what's he actually saying, you know? Or maybe it's a she, you know? What did she say? Well, actually, she didn't say anything. She sat on a pillow for 45 minutes and said, fuck all. I think, fuck, man, I've got relatives like that. They come round and drink my booze and don't say anything. They're boring me shitless, man. So at the beginning, you can't tell the difference. And that's at the end of the 1,000-day climb. So you're up there with Swami Rami. Who invented this stage? You've got to keep walking, man. You're up here with Swami Rami, and you genuinely believe that the green slime thing's going to work for you. And you're convinced that everybody on the whole planet should have it, right? But you haven't really reached the infinite self. You haven't really reached your power. You're still in this intellectual concept, you know? And have you noticed, like, all those books are very thick, aren't they? You know? There's secret teachings of Sri Bongo, Dongo, Longo, Spongo. And it's like 40, 100,000 pages long. And you think, what the fuck's this about? You know? Why is it taking so long? Because God, it's a short word, isn't it? It ought to be like maybe 1 or 2 pages long and a few little ideas with it. But here you buy the complication because you have to do a lot of thinking. And then you move along here, and there's a place here that I call the Plain of Desolation. Desolation is where things are very, very sparse. Desolate means the absence of trees. Let's say, for example, a desert would be desolate. You know, the high mountain areas with no trees might be very desolate. Having no friends would be desolate. And the reason why this plain is desolate is because it's there where the ego dies. It's there where you start to embrace the infinite self. And you embrace it through quietness, through meditation, through serenity, through touching nature, through realizing that you're a complete arsehole. You know, it took me years to figure that one out. Years and years and years. I actually thought I knew things, you know? I mean, it must have taken me 3 to 5 years to work out I am completely arseholic. I should, you know, join Arseholes Anonymous here, man, you know? And go to meetings every Tuesday. Because I'm a complete fucking idiot. As you travel towards God, and you go so far away from the TikTok material world, and the ego starts to die. And as the ego starts to die, you start to believe that you're dying. So you'll have all these sort of like near-death traumas. You'll think, my God, I'm falling sick. I'm not going to make it. I'm going to crap out and fall over. And it's just part of this journey. And basically what you're doing is you're moving towards the transcendental self. And the transcendental self is not complicated. It is simple. It is extremely simple. It's even simpler than I'm describing it here. It's just I'm contracted to talk for 2 hours tonight, so I'm going to complicate it a bit. But I can show it to you in about 3 minutes. If you come tomorrow, I'm going to show you how to blow a hole through the top of your crown chakra in 4.20 seconds. Ding, ding. People say, oh, the Kundalini, you got to do this, you got to do that. And you have to push your sperm here, and you have to suck here, and you have to take it up your spine through the jade portal and the chakra and the dinky lakra, and la 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 la, and you got to sit here and shag in a monastery for 91 years. I can fix the Kundalini for you in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Boom, there it goes. You can see God. You say, it can't be that easy. You say, okay, we'll do it in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. We'll speed it up if you're in a hurry. You see, we're mad. We're so mad as humans. I mean, you have to have compassion for our stupidity. And what's beautiful about it is we're jointly, collectively stupid. It's not like I'm very clever, you know, and these people are very stupid, and she's very clever. You know, we're jointly silly. Totally fucking silly. Now imagine if you were God. You'd be sitting up there somewhere just pissing yourself laughing, wouldn't you? Thinking, my God, well, look what these people are doing. They're sort of banging into each other like idiots. But to cross and to get there, you have to go through this very quiet, lonely place where your world begins to die, where the people that you're friends with tend to drift away, where the things that you used to think were really, really important suddenly change. where you stop seeing yourself as African or Italian or German or Polish refugee, female, male, computer analyst, nurse, doctor, bus driver, and you start to see yourself as an infinite being. Now, the beauty of an infinite being is you can move in any direction you like. So when I teach these kids at night, I teach them how to walk. And first thing we do is we practice walking. You'd think it was obvious how to walk. But I tell them, listen, let's walk down a hallway here, and you've got to own this hallway. So I'll make them take the power from here and hit the roof, boom. And then I make them spread the power out, left and right, and walk down this hallway. And they do it. And then sometimes I might say, here, do this. I say, walk into this restaurant and silence the whole restaurant, so that everybody in this restaurant stops eating and talking. And you'd say to me, well, Stuart, how do you do that? It's easy. You walk in, you just push your power. Boom. You can stop a meeting. And it's amazing to watch. And I'm not lying to you. I've seen it done. And it's just control. It's just having the power. It's knowing that you are the power. It's not mind, it's not money, it's not materialism, it's not sexual power, it's not physical power, it's not political power, it's not fascist black uniform bullshit crap. It's just energy. And in the end, we're only energy. We're not really a physical body. We're an energy, a subtle body, an etheric energy, a feeling. You can move that feeling anywhere. You can touch a person, bing, and make them look round. I take kids, 11-year-old, like I have a son that's 11, and I take him and his mates out, and I make them sit in cafes, and I say, move this man with your mind, with your feelings, tickle his ear, make him look round. And the kids do it. I say, make these people stop walking down the street. And they do it. And they know at 11, they can touch a person, bing, they can hit him. And the person will go, whoops. We're the power. We're basically a feeling inside a body. What you think of feelings are actually only sensations. So when I tap my hand with this mic, that's a sensation. It goes to my brain, up my arm, in a binary system, 0101, on, off, that tells my brain, you are whacking your hand with a microphone. But that's not a feeling. And then the emotions we feel, pain, joy, hatred, fear, even those aren't actually feelings. They're sensations. Where the feeling occurs is inside the subtle body, not inside your physical body, not inside even your brain. We are basically a feeling. And that feeling is in the etheric. And that's your power. Once you realize that's your power, that's your infinity. And then what can you do with this etheric? You can move it. You can make people see things that aren't there. You can stop them. You can hold them. You can scare them. You can give them joy. You can make... There's a system where you wipe their mind quick. And they're going to blank for a second or two. You can stop them talking. You can make them talk. You can empower them to become powerful. Or you can debilitate them to become weak. That's the power. And every one of you here has this ability. And you do not have to be a Swami Rami Barmy on the mountain for 2,500 years. You can do it quick, instant. Ding, ding, let's go. You just got to believe you can do it. That's your power. So I started teaching people, hey, you got the power, brother. Come with me, sister, I'll show you. You got the power. You got the power. And so I'd carry people up that journey. It's hard. It's really hard part of it because the ego dies and you're lost. When it dies, your world kind of dies. But beyond here, there's a doorway. And here at the front of the door, in this area here, it's what's known in English as a singularity. It's a scientific term. And it's basically an area of extreme gravity. It's almost like you're down a hole. It's the same as the area in a black hole in space. And right near the door, it's very hard to get through the door because the singularity stops you. It took me 3 years to get through. Once you're on the other side, you suddenly realize, wow, we live in a trans-dimensional universe. And it's not hypothetically trans-dimensional, it's right here. It's right in this room. And these other places and these other worlds are right here. And these other dimensions are right here. So then I started to travel on. Ding, ding, let's go. Ding, ding, let's go. But as I traveled on, I had to face my fears all the time, because the further you go on the journey towards the infinite self, the more frightened you get. It's no cushy ride, you know? There's no cushy ride. So sometimes I'd be out there and I'd see something so scary, you know? Like really, really scary, like this really scary being, let's say, you know? And so I'd run away for a bit. Coward. Well, not a coward, but just a human that was scared, you know? And then I got used to looking at this stuff and saying, come on, ding, ding. Have you seen The Matrix? You know? Hey, come on, you know? So once I started doing, come on, ding, ding, it got so easy. Because these beings would come at me, and I'd go right into their eyes and go, fuck off, boom, boom, let's go. And I'd go to the next one. And then I got into these really, really strange experiences. I mean, totally bizarre experiences. With some of the trans-dimensional beings that, which are referred to popularly as UFOs and greys and reptilians and that sort of stuff. And I've like chased them up the hallway with swords and that sort of stuff. And at first I was victimized enormously by them, you know? And they'd be in my room and at the end of the bed, and they'd be giving me a hard time, and they'd be making my life difficult, you know? And in the end I went, yeah, ding, ding, come on, let's go. You know? And it's the same with your fears. If you look at your fears and you turn and you run, you'll always be scared forever. If you look at your fears and you don't turn and run and you go, ding, ding, let's go, your fears melt, you know? If somebody's being tyrannical and they are manipulating your life and they're tormenting you and terrorizing you, or they are, you know, manipulating you emotionally or financially, the more you let them do it, the worse it gets, doesn't it? The minute you look at them and say, fuck you, you take the power away. So that was my game. And then I went through that doorway and I just kept going on and on and on and on and on. On and on, thinking, wow, how much fear can I go beyond? So then I kept inventing new experiences for myself that would be even more scary than the last one. And in the end, I've got a feeling your spiritual journey is actually very much a measure of how much fear you can go beyond. Ding, ding, let's go.
Yo,
You know?
just ignore him, please. He just being a jackass on a good day. But to him, it's fun and games. But I talked to him, I tell him to ease up a little bit. Because you don't find it offensive. I mean, sorry, you find it, so you don't find it funny anymore. And just kind of like ease up. Alright, here's my brethren. Don't study it, right? Just do it.
Nah, I not bothered by it, you know. Like, I not sitting down here studying stuff when I figure what I mean, but like, it's a matter of principle. I cool, you know, G. I will go to the next lime or wherever, whenever we link up and whatever, and I will be normal. Oh God, a streaming, hold on.
Let's get right in the center of the universe. You know, where all physical form melts and you're left with just the mathematics or the fractal nature of the universe. And let's go through that. Bam, let's go. Let's go through this doorway together and discover what's really out there. And so I kept moving, kept moving, kept moving, kept moving, kept moving, kept moving. And I'm really proud of myself because I'm an expert on terrorizing myself stupid. Real expert. Real expert, you know? And I think, wow, what a life. At least we tried, you know? So now I teach people. I teach kids mostly. Only because older people are harder to teach because they've got a lot of questions, you know? And they're serious. And seriousness, I can't deal with seriousness because I'm not a serious person. You know? But when a person's very serious and they've got the carrot up the arse kind of thing, I can't hack it. I don't know what to say to them, you know? I love them, but I can't handle it, you know? So I like kids because they're not serious, you know? So I like working with them. When I say kids, I mean anybody from about 15 to 35 to me is a kid because I'm, you know, 55, myself 53. But older people, most of them are too serious to be, you know, you can't do anything for it. And seriousness is such a disease, isn't it? You know? I mean, it's a terrible disease, seriousness. And there's nothing you don't know what to do for people that are serious, you know? And in the end, they die of seriousness. It's fatal, you know? And that's why if you go to cemeteries where they bury serious people, you will always see carrots growing round the graves, you know? And the reason why that's so is because just as before they die, their anal sphincter releases, you know? What happened to my drink, hon? Did you get me one? Or is it over there? And the carrots fall out, and that's why have you noticed that in cemeteries there's always carrots there, man? Thank you, sweetie pie. It's seriousness. Seriousness is horrible. And when you think about all the serious people you know, it's scary, isn't it? Well, I find it scary. Maybe you guys are very serious, so you like them, but I find it very, very upsetting. And one of the things about this whole journey that I realized very early on was, if you can't handle your own death, this life will torment you. So in the end, you have to be brave. You know? Death is only serious if you're scared of it. And so one of the things that I taught people early on in the early days, in the 80s when I first started teaching was, hey, you got to face your death, brother, sister. You got to agree to it. And you have to take death with you, you know, wherever you go. And I've been in that many scary situations, that many like life and death situations. And every time I get into one, I think, ding, ding, this is it. And then ding, ding, maybe it ain't. But what difference? Because in the end you have to accept, you know, do you not? There's no point in fighting life, otherwise you're never free. And one of the main concepts of this whole infinite self is you got to accept. So in any given situation, one of two things can happen. It either will happen or it won't happen. Simple, isn't it? You will either drop dead tonight or you'll still be here tomorrow morning. That's it. You know, either your husband is having an affair or he's not having an affair. Ding, ding. Either you decide to keep him, you know, you take him home, you scrub him down with disinfectant and say, listen, stop that shit. Or you get shot of him. Either they're going to fire you or they're not going to fire you. Either they're going to pay you or they're not going to pay you. But life is so simple when you stop struggling against it. You know, when you just flow along with it. Simple. When there's no more struggle, you're free. You're completely bloody free. It's easy. So I realized, wow, death, no problem. In fact, how many of you can safely say, hand on heart, that you're not dead now? I mean, you don't know, do you? You might have dropped dead a long time ago without realizing it. And this is some sort of human echo in your body that keeps you going, you know? And we can't actually say that we're alive, can we? I mean, you can't prove it. In fact, you can't even prove that your thoughts are your thoughts. Have you thought about that? How do you know they're your thoughts? You can't prove it. And you know how, like, thoughts jump all the time, you know? Some of the thoughts that you have are definitely not your thought. You know? But you can't actually prove that it's you that's doing the thinking. You think, wait a minute, are you kidding? Oh, well, of course my thoughts are my thoughts. And I'd say to you, well, how can you prove that to yourself? And you can't. So maybe all those things that you're scared of, you're not actually scared of them. And somebody else is. Do you think I'm scared shitless of my mother-in-law? You think, oh no, I'm not. That's somebody else's thought. You see, you don't know, do you, really? So I thought about this stuff and I thought, relax. What's the worst that can happen here? The worst that can happen is that this plane smashes into a fucking mountain. Boom. You know? And it's a very egalitarian thing, plane crashes. Yet it's a very equalizing thing. It's a bit like sort of socialism, Danish style. Because when a plane hits a mountain, all the people in coach and business class are automatically upgraded to first class. At about 800 kilometers an hour. So you all wind up going to heaven as equals. Except for the ones that stop at the little red traffic light. You have to encourage them to come to heaven. You say, come on, ding ding, let's go. Don't be scared. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is you drop dead. That's it. That is the worst that can happen. And there's nobody here in this room, including myself, that could tell you that being alive is better than being dead. You know, maybe being alive sucks and being dead's really cool. If you've had an out-of-body experience, as I'm sure many of you, if you've been on this path a while, have, the first thing I noticed was how light one is out of the body. You don't weigh anything. And I remember being out of my body the first time ever and looking back at myself and thinking, wow, man, I feel so light. You know, like I feel literally like a feather. And I'm thinking, shit, every morning of my life I have to get up and I have to schlep like 160 pounds, right? Which is what, 75 kilos or 70-something kilos around all day. I mean, already that's very bothersome, isn't it? You know, it's an effort, isn't it? It's like as if God clips this dead horse to your leg every morning. You think, I'm going on my spiritual journey. And I have 180 pounds, 75 kilos of dead horse clipped to my fucking leg, man. But it should be okay. Because all the gurus, have you noticed they're always uphill, aren't they? That's what I don't like about gurus. They're always up a fucking mountain, man. That already pisses me off. I mean, why don't they have gurus in flat places like Holland and Denmark? No, they're always up in Tibet or some shit like that. Anyway, there we go. I forgot. It isn't serious. And when you don't fight it, you begin to realize it may take you 10 years. It certainly took me 10 years. Hey, it ain't serious. What's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? You know, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that she's not there tonight when you get home. You know, the wife, the girlfriend, your partner. And you might be sad and you might miss her and you might also think, fucking hell, what a blessing. You know? Because all of the things that are missing in life that suddenly disappear is the God force's way of making you lighter, isn't it? You know, when things have gone, they seem like such a tragedy, and then a week or two later you think, my God, I'm so glad. Has that happened to you? It happens to me all the time. You know? And I say in my books, if you let's say go home and you know, the stereo and the CD player and the mini disc and the VCR have all been stolen. You can get upset and you can tear your hair out and you can rant and rave about the injustice of it. Or you can say, they came for the TV. You know? You don't need a TV anyway. It's bullshit. So what do you need it for? I mean, I haven't had one for years and years and years until the kids protested so bad that in the end I said, okay, if we've got to have a TV, we'll have it downstairs in the basement where the kids can watch it. But I don't want it in any part of the house where I've got to go watch it. You know, if your husband leaves, it's probably just about right now when you need to get rid of this arsehole, you know? If you get fired from your job, it seems so disastrous, and yet it's liberating you, isn't it? I love to put on forms where it says occupation, I love to put self-unemployed. People say, what is self-unemployed? You know? But it's so cool to put that, isn't it? Self-unemployed. To think, what the fuck's that? That's voluntary work, you know? You work when you want to work, and you don't work when you don't want to work. Simple. You know? You study when you want to study, and when you don't want to study, don't study. You come home when you want to come home, and if you don't want to come home for a month or two, post them a letter. Go on fishing. Ciao. See you later. Would you mind feeding the cat? They say, I'm not feeding your cat for a month or two. You say, okay, I'll courier some cat food every 2 days. You see, it could be simple. Because the infinity inside of you is simple. It could be benevolent and kind because the infinity inside of you is benevolent and kind. It could be uncomplicated because the God force definitely, categorically, I will give you my personal assurance, is not complicated. And it certainly isn't righteous. And there's no hierarchy. So this business of these holy people that they're living something of God, that is complete crap. If you believe it, I feel sorry for you. But then there are many things that I used to believe that were totally stupid as well. So it's not that I'm better than you, but I just feel sorry for you. Because it's bullshit. You've got the power. You've got the law because your word is law. You've got the energy. You've got the perception. You just have to believe and work on it. You've got the freedom. The door's there. Ding, ding, let's go. You don't have to be in prison if you don't want to be. It's voluntary. It doesn't look voluntary, but it is. You know? It is. So practice after me. The next time an official comes and asks you and says you got to do this and you got to do that, finger up. Fuck off. I said, you telling me to fuck off? You say I have, yes. Fuck off. I'm an infinite spirit inside a body. You can't be telling me this shit. And get your snotty little fucking dog out of my luggage. Fuck off. You don't have to do it a lot of times, but you got to do it a few times to know you can do it. You know? What are you doing? Fuck off. It's got nothing to do with you. What's your name? Piss off. They said they could not have christened you. Piss off. They did. I'm a Polish refugee. My name's Piss off. Fuck off. See, and once you realize you can push, it's very scary to push, isn't it? You know? It's very scary to push against the manipulation that people put on you. Because in many ways, some people like being victims, you know? But you know when you have those people that like being victims, you kind of sort of want to whack them in the head to keep them happy, don't you? Their victim energy says, please belt me in the head, won't you? Boom, do this. So you like victimizing them. The minute you're not a victim and you step back and you go, fuck off, they all run away. If they don't run away, you pick up a big piece of wood and you give them a clip in the head. Bang! Fuck off now. This club owner the other night, he said to me, I've got friends in the IRA, you know, the Irish Republican Army. And I said to him, have you now, man? And I went, bang! And he went right off this wall, boing, boing, you know? I said, don't be telling me about the Irish Republican Army. I said, fuck you, man. I've been going to Ireland for 20 years, man. He says, well, I've got friends in the South London Doody gang. So I went, bang, again. This time he bong, bong off the bloody wall again. I said, don't be telling me about the Doody Robertson brothers in South London. Well, this arsehole couldn't get the message. So then he says to me, well, I'm connected to a Yardie gang in North London and Islington. What a boom, I whack him again. I said, are you getting it now, brother? I could give a flying fuck for you, the IRA, or your Yardie gang. He says, you've hit me 3 times. I whacked him one more time in the head, bang, you know? I said, no, man, you can't count. I've hit you 4 fucking times. I'm pissed off out of it. And he got scared and he ran away. I mean, I'm not suggesting you do this all the time, okay? But once every so often, it's great, you know? So when the mother-in-law comes around with that stupid cake on Sunday, right? Tell her to fuck off, you know? When the minister or the priest at church says, how are you on Sunday? Tell him, piss off, you know? When your boss comes in and goes, yeah, say fuck off out of it, will you? You know, before I got really pissed off and I whack you in the head with this computer, fuck off. And he says, or she says to you, what's the matter with you? You say, well, nothing's the matter with me, but I've just been to a Stuart Wells seminar, so piss off. Fuck you and your little dog too. You know that lovely line from, what was it, Wizard of Oz? And I get you and your little dog too. Fuck off, man. Be free. Be free. We don't need this shit. Be free. Don't forget, if you see the little green man, don't cross the road. Wait for the red one. We're going to take a 20-minute break. Thank you. Ding, ding, let's go. Okay. It's a long journey. It's a very long journey. It's a very long journey from the front of the hall to the fucking blackboard as well. But there you go. That's life. Maybe tomorrow we can make a little gap here, you know? Oh, shit, get out of the fucking way, eh? Make a jump. I'm not a fucking horse, man. Okay. The three steps at the end of the 33 steps of the infinite self, right, are called quest, fusion, and then the initiate. Can't spell it. Okay. And I'll just talk about these 3 first, even though it seems like I'm doing the end at the beginning. But that's how I like, huh? You start with the dessert, coffee, main dish, starter, soup, aperitif. Okay. The quest is the sacredness of this journey. And your life has to become sacred. Otherwise, it has no meaning. Do you follow me? And how do you make something sacred? Well, there is no way of making anything sacred other than just by concentrating on it and saying this is sacred.
Actually,
so if I had some holy
leave,
relic
dog.
from, you know, the church, you know, and I could say, well, this is Saint Matilda's toenail or something. Okay? It's only a fucking toenail in a box. Unless you concentrate on it and say this is sacred. Then you can have pilgrims come and pay you God knows how many thousands of pounds just to look at his toenail. But what makes anything sacred is the fact that we concentrate upon it and say this is sacred. There is no other way of making it sacred, okay? And to make your life sacred, you have to concentrate upon your life and make it sacred. So that could be rituals, it could be prayer, meditation, you could light incense, you can put 25 candles and soak in the bath for an hour, you can make love to your husbands, your boyfriends, your girlfriends. and make it sacred. You make everything that you do sacred. So if you're doing the washing up, that can become a sacred act because you're concentrating on it. In fact, love is actually concentration. So when you fall in love, okay, romance is actually a disease that comes from over-concentrating on another person, right? But in the end, that's what love is. Love is concentration. It's like putting yourself aside to concentrate upon the needs of somebody else. Putting yourself aside to concentrate upon the needs of humanity. Putting yourself aside to concentrate upon the pain of humanity and hope to heal them. Putting yourself aside to concentrate upon goodness. Putting yourself aside to concentrate on whatever. So you make your life sacred by basically saying this is sacred. You make it important. And then you have to have your own priorities and your own boundaries. So there are certain things that you decide you want to do in your life, and you go ahead and you do them. And you don't let people push you and pull you and tug you out of the way. So you say, hey, every morning at 4 a.m. I rise and I meditate. And that's my program, you know? And it doesn't matter if you come home at 3:30 drunk as a skunk. 4 o'clock, you're going to do the meditation because it's sacred to you. Then there's a morning when you decide, bullshit to this 4 o'clock thing, and you throw it out and do something different. But sacredness is just a matter of making your life important and concentrating upon it. So you have to empower yourself and you have to love yourself. This is not an egocentric, egotistical thing necessarily. It's just a matter of saying, wow, if I have the power and I concentrate upon myself, my life will become more powerful. When your life's powerful, you can talk to somebody and you can demand something in a friendly way, and they'll give it to you. Ding, ding, I want it. I was in a plane the other day, and I don't like biscuits. I don't eat biscuits. But I saw this American cookie, and I hadn't been to America for a long time, so I ate this cookie. And it was delicious, like a chocolate chip cookie. And there was this really, really sort of wimpy TikTok nerd sitting next to me, who was some kind of architect. And I just turned to him and I said, give me your cookie. Just like that. That's the exact words. I'm not exaggerating. Give me your cookie. And he sort of went, well, didn't you get a cookie? I said, yep, I got a cookie and I ate it. Now give me your cookie. It was the most fun I've ever had. Because he went through this unbelievable trauma of shall I, shan't I, will I, won't I? And suddenly he really desperately wanted his own cookie. And he picked it up, he put it down, he picked it up, he put it down. He opened it a little bit, put it down, opened it a little bit more, you know? And I knew in the end that he couldn't hack giving me the cookie. So then he started eating it like 1, 2 little tiny bites, you know? So I nudged him again, you know? I said, see the guy across the aisle? Tell him I want his cookie. And this guy had gone, ah, ah, ah. I said, just tell him. Say, this man here wants your cookie. I was only playing a game, but I thought, wow, well, I get the cookie, man, you know? It's like life. You go into the boss tomorrow and you say, listen, when I first signed up for this job, I was weak and insecure. And when you asked me how much I wanted, I couldn't value myself. You know? So I only asked you for a few thousand kroners a week. I want 100 grand. Fuck you and your little dog too. Give me the money. I believe in myself now. My life's sacred. And if your boss can't see you at 100,000, tell him, okay, ding ding, ciao. Because sometimes the easiest way to get a big pay rise is to move to another company, isn't it? Because they don't know what an arsehole you are yet, you know? And plus, if you came in at like 15,000 kroner a month or something, you know? Sometimes it's very hard for people to see you at 100,000 kroner a month because they're sort of used to you being a suffering servant, do you follow me? So sometimes you have to quit one job and move in at a higher level. But the point about Quest is, it's sacred, this journey. And you only have a small amount of time. Not that there's a rush, but we only have a certain amount of time, and every one of us here have wasted 10, 20, 30 years. You know, when we signed up for Arseholics Anonymous, we wasted a lot of time, you know? So make it sacred. Make your sexuality sacred, make your life sacred, make your money sacred, make your spirituality sacred. Make it all sacred. And as you get disciplined, and as you begin to center and control the mind, which is a central part of how you grab this infinite self and how you actually see these other worlds, then eventually the next step is fusion. And fusion is that moment when it all comes together. Almost like a welder with some metal, and he has this hot lamp, and he can fuse two pieces of pipe together and make them whole. And it's really the fusion between the yin and the yang inside of you. Each one of us is androgynous, and androgynous means sexless. So you're not really female or male. You are an eternal spirit that has no sexuality. It's androgynous. And in the fusion, you get to that androgynous state. You get to this infinite state where you actually join with God. And joining with God is not a holy moly spiritual bullshit. It's just joining the humanity. Being able to look at total strangers and say, I love you. Try doing it tomorrow at the traffic light. I love you. Huh? What are you, some kind of poof? You say no. I just love you, brother. What do you want? I don't actually want anything. Just love you. The fusion inside of yourself is the joining of the yin and the yang. It's the joining of the feelings. It's a point where the mentality becomes settled. It's the point where you learn to accept. And one of the steps in the Infinite Self book is acceptance. It's like, don't fight, accept. Don't resist, accept. If today is your last day, accept. And it only becomes sad if you haven't done anything with your life. But if you've done something, if you've traveled, if you've seen, if you've been, if you've helped people, if you've experienced, if you've loved and you've lived, and you've listened to the great operas, and you've seen the great paintings, and you've been to the theatre, and you've been to the races, and you've been to Cannes, and you shagged your fucking brains out for weeks down there with a toy boy, and you've done something, then if today's your last day, what the fuck? You had a good time, didn't you? In English, we say, I had a good run for my money, meaning, like when the horses run well, you bet on it. Even if it comes second, at least you had a good run for your money, at least, you entertained yourself. That's fusion. Fusion is where you consolidate inside yourself, where you go beyond having to explain yourself, where you go beyond the guilt, where you go beyond the pain of your dysfunctions. Some of you that were abused as childhood, it's sad, it's part of your karma. But get over it, ducky. You can't stay abused forever. People say, well, I was so poorly treated and we were so poor and stuff. Hey, okay, so that was your karma, Fusion says you're rich. You're not only materially rich, but you're spiritually rich if you can open your heart. Most people have a heart chakra like a flea's arsehole. It's about this big. Why? Because to open your heart means you have to become fearless. And I was saying to you, most of my journey in this life has been how much fear could I hack? How much fear could I take? How brave could I become? In the end, bravery is your only option. I'll say it twice. Bravery is your only option. Because otherwise you're perpetually a victim of your fears. And you're not only a victim of your own fears, but you're a victim of all the fears that people place upon you. They say, oh, you must be careful of this, and you must be careful of that, and you don't do this, and don't try that, and what if you lose your money, and what if you do this, and what if they run away, and what, fuck that shit. Be brave. So when you look in the bathroom mirror tomorrow, and you're putting your makeup on, or you're having a shave, or you're doing both, just tell yourself, bravery is my only option. It's the only option I got. And sometimes I take people out on really, really, really spooky journeys. I have these tours called transcendental tours. You cannot describe them. They're more transcendental than most people can hack, It's a lot of transcendence very quick. And some of them are very joyous, they're very entertaining, and we go out at night and we have a heaps good fun, but some of it's really scary, And it's scary for me as well. And I tell them, we're going out today, and we're going to be shit scared all day. Bravery's the only option. Let's go, ding ding. And that's your fusion. That's the point where you don't have to explain yourself anymore. In the older days when we used to do the Warriors Wisdom seminars, and they kind of became a little bit of legends, really, because they were so strange. In the early days, I used to make people dress up in funny outfits. In the end, I dropped the idea because it was too complicated, but And maybe would like, let's say, for example, hire a chicken outfit. Okay? And let's say you work in a bank. So you hire a chicken outfit. And on Monday, you go to work in a chicken outfit. At the bank. Right? And you're not allowed to explain yourself. You just arrive at the window and you start cashing people's checks, answering their inquiries, transferring their money. You know? And when they say, why are you wearing a chicken outfit? You say, what chicken outfit? In other words, you don't bother to explain yourself. And I had 3 guys in one of the seminars that were part of a commando military unit in Australia. And they were part of A Company Commandos. And it's a very famous unit in Australia, in the Australian regiments, military regiments. They went to the camp dressed in ballerina outfits. With tutus and tights and the whole bit. Now, these are military men with huge muscles and tattoos, killers, been to Vietnam, blah, 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 all that bullshit, you know? And they just went back to the military camp dressed as ballerinas. And the sergeant, you know, the guard at the gate at the camp, saluted them. Fucking amazing, huh? And they just walked in their ballerina outfits. They didn't explain themselves. It's really hard to do if you're a military man. Any soldiers here in the room? Try it. You know, just to arrive, you know? Try walking backwards for half an hour. Down the street backwards. Just keep walking backwards. And don't explain why you're walking backwards. You know? Or take your dog and dye it pink. You know, I'll go to the office with this pink dog. You'll say, why is your poodle pink? You said, I don't know, it must be something it ate. You know? The point is, it's the fusion is you cannot actually heal all of the pain of your life. Do you see? It's sad, but you can't. All you can do is have enough energy to go beyond the pain. You can't heal all of your inadequacies. I can't heal mine. You know, I'm seriously dysfunctional. I'm proud of it. I have a PhD cum laude in dysfunction. But I'm not trying to heal my dysfunctions. If I ever woke up one morning without my dysfunctions, I'd totally feel fucking lost, you know? I'd say, what is the matter with my life? I feel okay. You know, I can't heal my dysfunctions, and I don't want to heal them. I like my dysfunctions. You can't get past your fears, all of them. So just agree to be scared. Just be human. People say, what's the matter with you? So I'm completely scared shitless. Love me, God, I'm scared. You know, I remember lying in bed 3 nights ago, I had this really spooky experience. I was just lying there saying, love me, God, I'm scared. Love me. That's it. That's all you can say, you know? That's fusion. The fusion is when you know you've done your best, you know that you have compassion and benevolence for humanity, you know that your power can heal people, and you will never be perfect. You'll never be the perfect mother. You'll never be the perfect father. You'll never be the perfect employee. You'll never be the perfect boss. You'll never be the perfect professor, the perfect airline pilot, you know? Maybe you will smash them into the mountain, you know, boom, all 350 of them, you know? And when you're all in the out-of-body state hovering around the plane crash, you can just say, look, I'm awfully sorry, love me. I put my foot on the wrong pedal. I mean, it wasn't a big mistake, but ding ding, what can you do? And once you realize that, you become so free. Do you see how liberating this would be, how your life would become so liberated? You'd have so much energy. Because 1, you wouldn't be judging yourself. And 2, you wouldn't be working hard to become perfect. You can just embrace the infinite self, and the infinite self is not perfect. It has the potential to be God, because it is God. But it isn't perfect where we are. Later, maybe, you know? 10 trillion incarnations from now, you know? Maybe we're really strutting around really arrogantly perfect, you know? But in the meantime, we're just a bunch of fuckwits. Let's do the best we can, you know? And so the fusion comes in that moment when you can sit and relax. So first, you see, you can sit and relax a long time before you have the power, because you can become complacent in a tick-tocky little place and say, this is it, you know? But it isn't really it, is it, you know? But once you reach that quintessence we use in English, it's a difficult word perhaps, but when you reach that peak of power in yourself, then, hey, the power keeps coming, The power keeps moving, and you relax. And if people don't like it, there's not much you can really do, is there, you know? Because you didn't really come to please people. You know, God didn't say, listen, go down to earth and please people. You know, some people will be thrilled to meet you, and other people will throw up. You know? Just, you know? Some people will love you, some people will be frightened. Some people will like you, some people will think you're a complete idiot. So what? You know, you can't be perfect, you know? So whatever bitterness, let it go. Whatever wars you've had to fight in your life, let them go. Whatever arguments, let it go. Let it go. Just get over it. You know? Get over it. I'm going to talk tomorrow about the shadow, you know, that dark part of ourselves, you know? Can't talk about it tonight because it takes a bit too long, because there's a lot of shit in there. But you got to get past it all. And that for me was the hardest part, was the consolidation, where I had to make myself right, especially as I'm so different to all the people in my industry, you know? He's very dangerous. And it's like I suddenly thought, wait a minute, can I be a spiritual teacher, you know, and get up there and say, listen, fuck you and your little dog too? And I thought, of course I can. Because one or two things is going to happen. They're either going to hate it or they won't. You know? Can I have a vodka and tonic on stage if I want? Yes, I can. Why? Because where does it say you can't have a drink if you don't want? You know, if you want a drink, have one. You know? Sometimes, not very often, I like to smoke a cigarette on stage. Especially we're at very uptight places like the sort of Whole Life Expo in Atlanta in America. But you know, Americans have this carrot up their ass, serious, man, you know? I love to light a cigarette, you know? In a New Age conference, right next to the no smoking sign, you know? To practice. You know, it's like wearing a chicken outfit, you know? If you haven't got a chicken outfit, rent one. You know, rent a chicken outfit. And don't explain to anybody why you're dressed as a chicken. And that's a way of saying, hey, we're dressed as chickens all the time, aren't we? You know, we really are. You can't see the chicken outfit, literally, physically, but we're dressed as chickens. Look them in the eye and be calm about it. You know, when a policeman says, who are you? Say, who the fuck are you? You know, that's believing in yourself, isn't it? Most people go, ooh, sorry. Fuck off, who are you? You know? Little dog comes and sniffs your luggage. Fuck off, boom. You believe in yourself. You just believe in yourself. And then if people are abusing you, you have to draw a line, a boundary. Then you have to be good at telling people, listen, I love you, and there are certain things I won't accept, you know? I will not accept you abusing me, you know? I will not accept you having sex with other men, let's say, because that's you want the person to be faithful. If you want to go have sex with other people, then piss off. You know, I will not accept you spending my money and not giving it back to me. I will not accept you using my car and not bringing it back, or whatever your boundaries are. But you can have any boundary you like, as long as you just tell people what your boundary is. They're not clairvoyant necessarily, so they don't necessarily know what you want and you don't want. But you just tell them, hey, I've just done a bit of fusion. Fuck off and stop taking my money. And once you get to there, you're free. You see, and most people think this journey's complicated. It's not complicated. It's unbelievably simple. All you got to do is stop thinking. And we all think way too much, you know? It's what I call in my books overthinking on life. There's no such real term in English. But it's like, you know, where you're churning your mind, you know? Don't think, drink. It's simple, you know? It's so much simpler, you know? So tomorrow morning, if your brain's going like that, have like half a pint of vodka before you start the day. You'll soon stop thinking if you drink enough, you know? You won't give a shit. You'll be so relaxed. I mean, you may not make it to the office on time, but hey, you didn't come to be perfect anyway. You tell them, listen, I've got the flu. It's so much simpler. You know, it is so much simpler. And I think if I have imparted one piece of knowledge to people over the long time that I've been lecturing, is, hey, you're beautiful. You're gorgeous. You're much more gorgeous than you think you are. You're much more beautiful than you think you are. You're heaps more spiritual than you think you are. Because spirituality is your natural benevolence, your compassion.
Did you think we... Did you think we could just keep spending money, producing nothing, and everything would be okay? Perhaps
Your humanity, that's it. Spirituality is where you help people, you're kind to people, you advise people. That's spirituality. Sometimes being a complete idiot is spirituality because people can look at you and think, wow, look at her, she's crossing the traffic lights when she's not supposed to. So you're offering them a lesson, aren't you? You know how to go, up yours. So it's such a simple journey, really, and yet we make it so complicated. And so I came to see, like, wow, fusion, simple. And then beyond fusion is this other world, many other worlds. You know, where you do arrive in the world of the initiate. And in that world of the initiate, you're still human, you're still physical, you still have to tend to your body and feed it and look after it and wash it and clean it and so on. But you are straddled, you know, you're across 2 or 3 more different worlds, you know, you're in this other world, and then your perception becomes so acute. Really fast, you can read people's minds, you can watch them thinking, you can move your etheric left, right, you know. I have a band of female wizards that travel with me sometimes, and you want to see them go, you want to see how fast they are so fast. They can jump in your mind, and come out in 2 seconds, then read it. They're fast, and you cannot even tell they're doing it. They're so quick. They are so quick. And these are very elegant, very well dressed, often well educated, ordinary women that just went through the doorway with me. I mean, it's taken them many years. They didn't do it in 15 minutes, but they did it. And they're fast. They're really fast. Because they got the power. And have they got the power because they were blessed with it or something, or the angel Gabriel descended on their head at some point, you know, when they were 16? No. They got the power because at some point somewhere, they met this completely arseholic Englishman, half Italian, African, white man, who said, you got the power. And they believed me. You know? And little by little, they figured out, yeah, wow, I got the power. And they got the power. I'm telling you, they're really strong. Really strong. They're not just strong women, you know, in a masculine world. They're quick. They're really fast with their perceptions. And that's part of the journey, awareness. You know, and then with awareness comes responsibility. But that's another discussion about what you're going to do with the awareness that you have, you know? And what are you going to do with all of this power? But first you've got to get it. Then what you're going to do with it afterwards is up to you, you know? We chase after Nazis. That's what we do with our power, you know? We chase after people that are tyrants. And the women will chase after somebody. And they'll check into the same hotel, let's say. And then the 5 of them will come out of body. And they'll fry them and come back in again. All in a matter of minutes. Bing, bing. And that's how they chase after him, and they try to turn evil people into better people. And you might say, well, that's slightly infringing, isn't it? And I'd say, yep, it's very infringing. But there you go. There's a war on. Ding, ding. Because we're living in a world that is becoming more and more fascist every day. You know, techno-fascism, you know? Rules, controls, regulations, silicone chips, credit cards, fingerprints, blah, 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 eye scans. You know, one day they'll bottle your fart and keep it and identify you with that, you know? And so we have to push. We've got to stop them doing this stuff because we want to be free. We don't need all this crap, you know? We don't need it. We just need to be free. Okay, yeah, we have to have some laws because you can't have everybody running amok, you know? Or you can't have everybody deciding which side of the road they want to drive on. You know, we've got to have an agreement. We're going to drive on this side or that side. You know, but other than that, we don't need a lot of laws, you know, because most...
biggest experiment in some kind of guaranteed income we've seen to date has proven it to be a widespread failure. The consumer price index is at 5%, growing at the fastest pace since summer of 2008. And we know what happened back then, didn't we? This does not bode well, and many people are yelling Bidenflation. That's right, Joe Biden's inflation crisis has made it here, and it's not just high prices. The whole thing, which we've discussed ad nauseum on this channel, seems to only be getting worse, and I have the latest updates for you. Consumer prices jumped up to 5%. It's worse than it was last month. It's worse than Wall Street had predicted. The prices for goods are skyrocketing, and I'm talking with people. We're trying to build and expand this business, and they say, I'm sorry, the cost of raw materials is just too high. We can't do the job. Starbucks, the latest to report widespread shortages of lids, of cups, of necessary materials. Before this news broke, what did I tell you a few days ago or last week? I had someone send me a photo saying this is at a local Starbucks. They're out of almost everything. What did I tell you last month or only a few weeks ago? We're seeing these local reports of chicken shortages and beef shortages. Now what's happening? It's finally starting to reach the national level. Maybe they didn't want to report it too soon. I don't know. They're saying, don't worry, it's a good sign. Demand is incredibly high. That's great for the economy. The problem is people aren't working. They're being paid not to work. The demand is there. The supply is not coming back. What do we get from these forums? Well, the left just saying it's because they're not paying enough. They need to pay their higher salaries. What's a higher salary? $30 an hour? Okay, you're right. You're right, left. You're right. I give you that one. If the fast food companies just paid better, people would come work. Well, apparently these sign-on bonuses aren't working. Maybe they just need to pay $30 an hour. Okay. Welcome to hyperinflation. You think the cost of goods going up right now is bad at 5%? What do you think's going to happen when they're forced to double wage costs? First of all, these businesses can't just do that. They can't just literally say, we're going to pay everyone double. Plus, of course, the government just prints way more money to bail out more businesses to cover the costs of wages when people don't want to work. Do you see what's happening? At the same time, we're hearing that people can't even buy houses. The wealthy are snatching them up. Bill Gates, the largest private farm owner in the country. Land is an excellent investment. So maybe they will jack up the wages to $30 an hour to compete with unemployment, which is just about $16 an hour. People will say, okay, I'll take double. You know, the problem is to overcome free money. That's a hard sell. I mean, think about it. You go to someone and say, we're going to give you $16 an hour, unemployment guaranteed. You don't gotta work. Or $30 an hour if you do. A lot of people are going to say, my time is invaluable. There's no amount of money that you're going to be able to buy my time. Now, it's not really true. I think if they said maybe $50 or $60 an hour, a lot of people would be like, ooh, I'm down for that. I'll go work. But think about it. If you don't have to, why would you? I think about it this way. You ever see those videos where the lion is like licking the dog or whatever, or the chicken walks around the lion? The lion doesn't care to kill it. Why? The lion's well fed. The lion doesn't need to work. It doesn't need to get into a fight and risk itself. So why would it, even for a meal? It's that happy. You're giving people $16 an hour and it's covering the basic goods most people need. They're not stressing for things they can't buy. PlayStations are out of stock. You can't go to the places you once loved. So what do you need the extra money for? You won't get it, and thus hyperinflation is on the way. The cost of houses is going to start skyrocketing because the cost of materials, and it's already skyrocketing because firms like BlackRock are buying up homes for 50% above market, above asking price. I hope you're ready for this. I hope I'm wrong. But last month when we talked about this, consumer price index was 4.4, or around there. It's happening faster than it did in 08. I don't know what to tell you. Man, I'll tell you what I'm doing, Bitcoin, I guess. Let's read the news and see what's happening with Biden inflation and these shortages and how Biden is making it worse. You want to know how he made it worse? Shutting down Keystone, 48,000 jobs. Let's talk about how it's getting worse. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com and become a member to support my work. Now, I'll say in the context of this, maybe y'all should be figuring out some financial strategies for yourselves. But if you do think the work I'm doing is important, becoming a member helps us expand this operation. The newsroom is coming up in about a week or two. It will be particularly rudimentary to start. We're only going to have a few employees, but we are going to be investing heavily into this. And it's with your support as members at timcast.com that we will be able to do this. These articles will be free and ad-supported, but we will have members-only content as well. And we do have the members-only section of the Timcast IRL podcast, which is available to members right now. Please consider liking this video, subscribing to this channel, the best thing you can do. Take the URL to this video or click the share button. Share it everywhere you can. Everybody shared this video. I would be bigger than CNN overnight. If you think, maybe you don't like me, but if you like me more than CNN, you can do this. It really helps out. Or at the very least, please enjoy the free ad-supported content, and let's see what's happening in the market. CNBC reports, headline, consumer prices rose 5% year over year in May, the fastest pace since August 2008, and higher than Wall Street expectations. The 3.8% rise in the core inflation rate, which excludes food and energy prices, was the sharpest increase in nearly 3 decades. Notice how they're saying food and energy has been removed. You know why? What do you think core inflation would be at if they included fuel and food prices? It'd be a lot higher. I mean, maybe 5. Max Kaiser tells me he thinks it's closer to 10. They're not going to tell us the truth because it would cause serious impacts on Social Security payments and loans and mortgages and all that stuff. And so they're just pretending like it ain't that bad. But it's bad. Initial jobless claims totaled 376,000, a touch higher than the estimate. They say the Consumer Price Index, which represents a basket including food, energy, groceries, housing costs, and sales across a spectrum of goods, rose 5% from a year earlier. Economists surveyed by Dow Jones had been expecting a gain of about 4.7. The reading represented the biggest CPI gain since the 5.3% increase in August of 2008, just before the financial crisis sent the U.S. spiraling into the worst recession since the Great Depression. This is all very negative, and it's hard to know exactly what's happening. There are many sources you can pull up that they say the economy is set to skyrocket. Things are going to get better than ever. Maybe that's true. It's hard to know for sure. Maybe I'm just a pessimist. Maybe it's bad. Maybe you should watch other channels and not just mine. This is why I always say, check out, other shows. Hey, Crystal and Cigar just launched Breaking Points. They're doing really, really well, and they're awesome people. It's a great show. You don't only want to be watching my channel, because maybe, and probably, I've got blind spots. But I think I'm right. Of course I do. I mean, I wouldn't say it if I didn't think I was, but I think I'm right. Why? Well, these articles that are coming up and saying everything's better than ever, I'm like, dude, the consumer prices are skyrocketing. Inflation is good. It means your wages will go up. I mean, yeah, what are you, child? Wages going up is meaningless if prices are going up faster. Am I going to get a 5% raise? No? Okay, well, everything's up 5% or more. It's not just about one single good. It's fuel, it's electricity, it's food. You like bacon? Bacon's up, what, like 14% this month, and it was like 22% up last month. In fact, we went to the store, couldn't find any bacon. Lucky for us, we live by a bunch of farms. Easily found bacon. And, look, I put a bunch of bacon in the deep freezer months ago, so we're good. I'm paying attention to bacon roast. I'm half kidding. But I think these shortages are serious. Beef prices are skyrocketing. It was hard for us to get brisket. Chicken shortages. We went to the store the other day. What did they say? Limit 2 per customer for chicken due to shortages. Why? What were they saying? It was because of the chicken sandwich wars. That can't be real. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard. CNBC goes on to say, though the inflation readings are well above anything we've seen since 08-09, the Federal Reserve has been largely dismissive of the numbers. Central bank officials believe the current rise is due to temporary factors that will abate as the year goes on and look higher because of comparisons to the year ago period, when much of economic activity remained restricted due to pandemic precautions. Okay, let's calm down a little bit. Okay, maybe that's true. All right, people are saying it's the Biden inflation crisis. Biden inflation, you know how I go from. I think so. I mean, the cost of bullets has not gone down; it's been going up. And that's like a core good for a lot of people who live out in the middle of nowhere. People go hunting, they go targeting. This is just one example. Okay, maybe it's not the best example. We can take a look at other goods that are skyrocketing. I hope that it just passes over and it really is inflated numbers. I mean, we've not had a pandemic lockdown like this, at least in my lifetime. So, or I think maybe not even like 100 years. So, okay, maybe they're right. But maybe they're trying to abate panic. If they came out right now and were saying definitively like, inflation's going to hit everyone hard, their savings will be decimated, what would people do? Well, they'd panic spend. And if they did, that would cause inflation to grow faster. This is what we saw in 2008. They kept saying, the market is better than ever. Ignore the signs, invest. And the market went down. So yeah, many of us weren't old enough to remember the market crash, or we were young and weren't particularly affected by it. And many leftists who are in their 20s today, barely remember it. They were small children, if they were affected by it at all. So of course they're going to keep petitioning for more mass spending, not realizing the economy is in flames and crumbling to the ground. Check this out. We got this chart here they put up on the Daily Mail. Inflation from May 2020 to May 2021. Bacon is up 19%, bananas 2%, bread 7%, coffee 2%, milk 9%, oranges 9%, gasoline 56%. 56. You know what happens next. Electricity is up 4%. What happens when gas goes up? Literally everything else goes up. Because if you want to drive a car to go to work or deliver goods, that cost is going to hit you. So here's what happens. Some dude works at McDonald's and he's like, you know what, they're paying me $18 an hour. I'll accept that even though unemployment would pay more. Or maybe this person lives in one of these states where they've terminated those federal benefits. So this guy's working and he's making, you know, $18 an hour. And then the gas prices skyrocket. Now to get to work, it's costing him 56% more on average. Well, eventually he's going to go to his boss and say, boss, it's costing me just like $5 to get. Maybe if that's well, depending on how far away he lives, you know, he could live 20, 30 miles away and get 20, 30 miles to the gallon. If it's city miles, if you live in New York, yeah, that's brutal. He might say, I need an extra $1 an hour. And then the boss says, man, you got to factor in, what was that, a 5% wage increase for everybody now to cover these costs? 56% increase in gas depends on how much gas he needs to get to and from work. It's more than that. What if someone's a delivery driver? Uber. Now you're in a city and you got to get from the airport to your hotel. Well, 56% higher cost because of fuel surcharge, right? Then you're going to say, I'm spending more on fuel. I need more money. It will hit literally everything. But you need to understand it's not just about your pocketbook. It's not just about your savings. It's about how it impacts the availability for goods and the feasibility of selling things. The Wall Street Journal reports Starbucks faces shortages of cups, syrup, and as eased COVID-19 boosts sales. Coffee companies says lack of supplies, including oat milk, are temporary and vary by store and market. I hope that's what it is. Could be something else. It could be that people aren't working and producing these things, so not enough are getting made. And then when these companies say, we're looking to hire someone to make cups, these people are like, I'm getting paid $16 an hour not to work, so I'm chilling. Nobody wants to make the cups. Starbucks doesn't have the cups. Starbucks can't sell. They can't expand. And it stops. You can only grow as fast as there is actual supply and demand. So if people aren't working, this is what you get. If the gas prices go up, this is what you'll get. Maybe, I'm going to say this. Maybe I'm being pessimistic. Maybe everything's going to be all right. Maybe, I put some money in Bitcoin, maybe inflation. It is here. Inflation is happening. But inflation doesn't necessarily mean that everything just falls apart. If Biden stops his unemployment plan as people go back to work, maybe the prices for everything will go up, your wages will go up with it, and many people won't notice all that much. It does mean the savings of the working class are being decimated, though, and that's still a very serious problem. The Wall Street Journal says, cake pops, cup stoppers, and mocha flavoring are among the items that have run out in places at times, some baristas said. The company is pausing production on several lower sales items to focus on higher selling ones. One person familiar with those plans said. A Starbucks spokesman said shortages of some items are temporary and vary by store and market. The company has temporarily removed from its app oat milk and beverages made with dairy substitute until it restocks its inventory. Bad news for the vegans, I suppose. Signs of the COVID-19 pandemic are disappearing across the U.S. as new cases fall and states remove restrictions on businesses and public gatherings. As the economy roars back to life, many businesses have run short on labor and the goods they need to serve customers, eager to return to restaurants and concert halls. Supply chain problems have contributed to shortages of products from wood pulp to pallets. Costs are ticking up as a result. Ketchup packets and frying oil are among other supplies that have fallen into scarcity in recent months. Yet demand is there. They keep saying demand is fantastic. It shows that as the economy is reopened, demand is roaring back to life. Demand is artificially high. They're paying people not to work. It's ending in many states. I think it's maybe like 28 states so far have cut this off. People still aren't returning to work. They've embraced van life, but we'll see. Maybe it's all just one inadvertent great reset. How about that? But if people are being given money, there will be demand. Those people are hungry. But they're being given money, so they're not working, so thus there's no supply. Universal basic income doesn't work. Guaranteed income does not work. You are fabricating demand without supply. It eventually stagnates. What happens then? Some guy's going to walk into a burger joint that has very few burgers because nobody's making beef, and he's going to be like, I'll give you $5 for that burger. And the guy goes, I'll give you 6, I'll give you 7, I'll give you 8, I'll give you 9. And they're going to fight. They're going to bid each other for trying to get this food. Now, I get it. Most of these stores are first come, first served. You don't auction on burgers at restaurants. You get the point. It'll affect other areas of the economy. Wall Street Journal says, for restaurants, some chains and cafes that do much of their business to go have kept dining rooms closed to avoid overwhelming staff. Some have asked customers to adapt to not having enough ketchup or other condiments. Starbucks employees said they are serving drinks in different cup sizes when the proper ones aren't available. Some customers have grumbled when their preferred items were out of stock. Some of those employees said, quote, due to current supply shortages, some of your favorites may be temporarily out of stock. Starbucks wrote to its app users earlier this week. We're sorry for the inconvenience. It is a great reset. Now, you can call it intentional or otherwise. The point is there is a great reset happening. Let's say every day you wake up, you get a cup of coffee, and you like getting the venti or you like getting the big one, right? That's venti, right? I don't know, Starbucks. Well, now you can't. Now you show up, and you ain't getting it. Eventually, you have a new routine developed. No more cupcakes, no more cake pops, no more extra large coffees. They say, sorry, we only have talls, which means small, I guess, whatever. Starbucks is crazy. And maybe they say, okay, we only have the smallest version. So what do? Fine, I'll take that, I guess. Now you're cutting out the coffee. Now you're spending less. Now you're drinking less Starbucks. Maybe you come in and say, I only do mocha, and they say, we don't have any mocha. You say, okay, I'll leave. What happens after a month? They say 28 days creates a routine, creates a habit. People are cutting these habits. This is changing human behavior. And it ain't all bad. I mean, if it's intentional and there's despots dictating what people have to do, I think it's nightmarish. It's dystopian. If people are improving their lives and just not eating cake pops, it's probably a good thing, because I don't think cake pops are all that good for you. But you see my point. Either way, it's not just about what's happening in the economy. I can only tell you this. I hope you are paying attention to what the Biden administration is doing, how it is negatively impacting the economy, and what that means for you. We can't always be in a golden age, I suppose, the wonderful roller coaster that was Donald Trump's economy. I don't mean that in terms of up and down. I mean like we were like yelling and having a good time. Well, all good things come to an end. It's like that story. You know that story where it was like the king and he says to his blacksmith, he's like, I want you to make me something that will make me happy when I'm sad and sad when I'm happy. Thinking it couldn't be done. And the guy comes back and he has like, it's like a bracelet or something, and it says on it, this too shall pass. And it's a statement that means when you're in your happiest moment, you'll look down and see that message reminding you that the good times will come to an end. And in your darkest hour, you'll look at that and it says, this too shall pass. And it reminds you that your hard times, you will overcome them. It'll make you happy when you're sad and sad when you're happy. That's right. For all the good that Donald Trump brought, eventually there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction, I suppose. And again, not just the economy. Insider reports a mega drought in California is expected to lead to water shortages for production of everything from avocados to almonds and could cause prices to rise. Not our avocados! How will us millennials have our avocado toast? Hey, welcome to this brave new world. Yeah, California's in a drought. So it's not just about Joe Biden. I think it's a lot about Joe Biden, but a drought's a drought. What do? Leave the area, stop eating imported avocados, start focusing on yourself. I moved out of the big city. We got some chickens, we got a little farm going on, we got a bunch of cucumbers popping up. Not enough to survive on our own, we don't have enough farmland for that. But we're taking some responsibility for ourselves, and we'll be eating some of our own vegetables and crops for some time. We're going to have a whole bunch. It's going to be fantastic. Jalapenos and basil and tomatoes. So we're growing this stuff. Plus the chickens, they're going to be laying eggs. In the winter, I think you got to do the sun lamps to make sure they keep laying eggs. But, that's the plan. And then we'll make more chickens, because this is an amazing thing about science. You take a boy chicken and a girl chicken, you put them in a room, boom, more chickens. Just like that. And they eat the bugs. It's wonderful. It's about time we started being more responsible. And I think most conservatives probably fine, because you recognize a lot of this. I'd be willing to bet a lot of rural conservatives know how to chop wood, and probably do for fires. People in the cities, you're going to live in the pot and you're going to eat the bugs. This is why they're saying eat cicadas, because there is a shortage here and it is only going to get worse. Insider reports June 1st, restaurants are hiking prices because of
Would you guys drop your social media for a guy? Yes,
No.
yes, I would.
I would too.
If I'm in a
100%.
committed relationship and I did it in my last relationship, if you don't want it, then that's it.
Yes,
It's ultimately what you guys decide on. You know, if you don't want it, you don't want it.
Yes.
This is a full-grown adult elephant that suffers from dwarfism. The condition is incredibly rare, and as a result, the elephant is only 5 feet tall. This person is having his first meal after being released from prison.
You need that?
Yeah.
Take it anyway.
He now runs a YouTube channel with his girlfriend where he talks about how he has changed as a person. These freedivers created this incredible work of art. This
Wasn't that
person
much
has
to
some
talk about
amazing
today, chat. I
makeup
don't know if y'all were
skills.
paying attention earlier, but man, that video was fucking real, bro. I will find a new spiritual teachers. It's always fun. Always, 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 always fun. Always something new to learn and expand on and use. Like, obviously y'all wouldn't know, right? But in that
This is called a
Kovac
potato
session,
pufferfish.
when I don't know, I just claimed that I could be better. And I realized how much I was settling.
Please wait. System processing.
And yeah, instantly blew up 2 scores, so 3 scores actually. So I'll take it.
Please remember to
It looks like this great white shark has had a pretty rough life. I recorded this amazing sunset and wanted to share it with all of you. Wow.
Epic Games, fix your shit, man. Please load. Hurry up.
My brother, I've seen him rise from the gutter pretty much. Like, he was telling me how he would have to share his dinner with his dog, or if he didn't have enough food, he'll give all the food to his dog and he'll go train. But yeah, seeing him rise from that and go from like local show, and see him doing what he set out to do, especially growing up in the household with African parents where it's a lawyer, doctor, accountant, and face setbacks and failures and still rise up and rise up and rise up. It's inspiring, and it makes me want to do more myself, you know?
Alright, I think I have to reboot my computer or something because this is taking